What's up, guys? Welcome back. So today I'm going to go over a project we just got finished up. It's an M38 military flat fender with a ton of changes to it. So I thought I would go over it with you guys, and kind of like the 3B video, but this one is a running and driving Jeep that we got going again and did some cool upgrades to. So yeah, let's just start out with, this is an M38. It is a real military. When it came here, this is now the third flat fender I've worked on for this particular customer, who's turned into a really good friend of mine as well. The other two flat fenders, I ended up doing Kubota diesel swaps in them, and did some chassis work and some upgrades with bumpers and whatnot. And then this Jeep, this is more of his, you know, ready to wheel, go around, play in the mountains kind of Jeep. So, when it came here, it already had a 231 Buick V6 in it. So I'll show you that real quick. So it's got a 231 Buick V6 in it. It's already been upgraded to power brakes, hydraulic slave cylinder. It's got a T98 4-speed in it, and Dane 18 with a Warren overdrive. It's been converted to hanging pedals. Somebody put a tilt column in it. We probably down the road are going to change this over to something different. It's got already had crossover steering on it with Saginaw box, but it's just manual steering. So the column and putting power steering on it are still possible upgrades down the line, but we're kind of at a good stopping point right now. So I'll tell you what I've kind of done to the Jeep. So originally, it was to upgrade the axles. So obviously, had 25 in the front. I believe this one had a 41 in the rear. So he actually had, as you can see, it's still an offset 44, but it has the flanged axles. So this is the 70, 71 rear Dana 44, 30 spline axles. We put an Eaton E-locker in it with 538 gears. And then the front is an open knuckle 30 with an E-locker, 538 gears in it. The nice thing about that is we could put the CJ steering on it, really simple and easy. And then both axles actually have the Brennan disc brakes on it, which works really, really well and is fairly inexpensive. The other thing I did is built this spare tire carrier for it. And I think if you guys have seen my other videos, or you should just look them up on the channel, I kind of go over it in more depth about how this whole thing was built and works. But as you can see, here's your locking pin. Turn it 90, stays open. Nice swing out tire carrier. And I did build this in a way that you can open the tailgate and drop the tailgate down, put the receiver on it. This is 2x4 quarter wall tubing, just a piece of angle iron that's welded to it, that T-pin. And then the bracket that goes to the frame bolts to the frame, and then it also bolts to the bumper. So you can take this bumper off without having to unbolt it from the frame. And then the bumper itself, or the swing out part of it, this is 2x3 into 2x2, and it's using like a mixture of rough stuff, and I think maybe some moto built. And then as you can see, these are my, this is my plate where the pin goes in, and then this is my bushings that I made so it won't rattle. And these are just CJ body mount bushings. And as you can see on these ones, I just glued these all together with the spacer, and there's a bolt. I don't know if you can see, you can kind of see it. Bolt with a washer that bolts into the bumper. Same thing there. And yeah, the nice thing about this is it does not rattle. And you can pretty much do all this one-handed. But as you can see, so it can't rattle in and out, can't rattle up and down. And then there's your pin going through it there. And then I also built this high lift jack mount. This works really nice. So it's got a screw pin there. That holds the jack from rattling. And then I built this whole assembly here. And you can see the screw pin. It's also got a place for a pin to go through right there. And you can put a lock right here. But the nice thing about this, you just unscrew this guy. That swings open. And that swings as well. But there you go. Now you have access to your jack. And anyway, put that back together. Put these rock sliders on also. It just had some pieces of angle iron right here. So took that off. And then before I put these on, I just made myself a nice tape line and painted that. These, I believe, come from a company called Big Willie. He actually brought them to me. It is a full cage Jeep. And then the gas tank also, if you didn't see, the gas tank is now not under the seat. It's in the back, which is a lot safer. And then kind of the big thing was doing, updating the cooling system and finding a place for all the wiring. And so I'll show you that right now. So when he brought it in, it had a radiator in it. It was a cross flow, but it was turned sideways, which was really weird, but it's kind of how they had to fit it in here. And then it did have a push-pull fan or a pull fan on it, but it just all was really hodgepodge, not really done well. So I ended up ordering this radiator from Eastwood. It's their 22-inch tri-flow GM style radiator. Another reason, well, and I'll get to that in a second. And then we went with their shroud and their electric fan. Now the reason for doing this is you can see the motor sits pretty low. And I mean, that's pretty much as tall as the motor can sit in a, you know, an M38, a 2A, 3A. If it's not a 3B or a, you know, a CJ5 or whatnot, you just don't have the room to put the motor up that high. So I thought this would be a much better idea. Instead of trying to fit a fan in here, which would actually be pulling lower, you know, pulling air through the radiator lower, this works a lot simpler. And the other problem I was going to run into is with this radiator, this is at like a 30-degree angle, maybe a 45, with this lower radiator hose. And, you know, just getting it to clear your fan or your alternator belt was one thing, but there was no way to really put a fan in here, and it really would have been a tiny fan, if that. So the electric fan works really good. The nice thing about this setup is I bought the we bought the control module too. So this is just temperature sensing. I believe it's set at like 155, 165. So this automatically will come on. And then this green wire right here actually goes to an override switch or just a regular on-off switch. So if for some reason the fan doesn't come on like you should expect it to, you just flip that switch and run it anytime you want. Also, you can just, I know in my Jeep how my dad wired it originally was you could just control the fan, you know, whenever you wanted. So just a nice thing. And then I'll show you here. When I originally started on this, there was nothing on this fender right here. And I needed a place to put, you know, the controller for the electric fan. This is right all for your e-lockers, front and rear. And I really just wanted a nice junction box or a place to just hook up all your connections. So I bought these. I believe they're just buses off of Amazon. I'll see if I can find all these links and maybe put them in the description for you guys. But this is 12-volt power from the battery all the time. This is grounded from the battery all the time. And then I also bought this little guy right here, which is power from the ignition only when the ignition is on. So when you're wiring these electric fans up, when you're wiring these lockers up, they want 12 volt from the battery constant, and they also want 12 volt when the ignition is on. So I just wanted a really nice way of mounting this and doing it to where you can tap into this really, really easily. I think it turned out really well. Look, I'm no wiring expert guy, but this really, you know, I think works really nicely. And then this is just your extra wiring right here that goes to the front locker, and you just got to leave enough for it to be able to droop out. But really cool Jeep. Oh, and then the last thing we did is it had a Bellevue on it, we swapped that out. He had an 8274 he wanted to put on it. And so we did the 8274, and then we updated to the newer style control box. This goes on there really easily. The only thing I will say is if you're going to use the clamps, I don't know if I can get a good, you can kind of see this, but I had to take a piece of steel and cut it in a way that it almost looked just kind of like a cross, where you could hook the hose clamps up to it. So that was kind of the only thing I had an issue with that, but the rest of it worked really well. So a couple more things we could do, like I said, would be power steering, change the column out. But other than that, it works really well. I'm really happy with, you know, how the brake lines all turned out. Had to rebuild a lot of it, but looks really good. And it's got the old style Jeep blocking hubs on it. So really cool old school type build. This is what you would have done back in the day. You know, I know everybody now wants to do modern axle, really modern axles and whatnot. But this is a really cool, you know, carbureted 231, T98, Dana 18, Warren overdrive, 538 gears. It just works as it should for an old style flat fender. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it gives you some ideas. If you're interested in axles, if you're interested in bumpers or whatnot, go to my website, simpsonoffroad.net. Feel free to shoot me an email, simpsonoffroadllc@gmail.com. And we can go over some ideas and come up with some cool things. I also am going to be doing a video upcoming about some cool stuff with the low pinion Dana 44s that I'm going to be offering up to make them just immensely more strong than what they are out of the box. So stay tuned for that. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, share it, and I will catch you guys on the next one.